Mbeumo. So where are we at with Bryan Mbeumo?
I think Manchester United will remain relaxed about their situation simply because I think there's a cautious optimism that they can strike a deal with Brentford for Mbeumo still. Like Arsenal and Gyökeres, United are discussing internally what they're going to do next. Their last bid was worth £62.5 million. It was £55 million up front, £7.5 million in performance-related add-ons. Now, overall, that is not too far away from what Brentford would want. We think that Brentford want around £65 million. However, it's going to be how that amount is going to be paid. So United would probably want to do that with performance-related add-ons in there, whereas Brentford, we think, want the majority, if not all, of that £65 million to be guaranteed, be it over 3 or 4 years. But they would want, at some stage, that £65 million to be paid by Manchester United. United are going to stay disciplined with this deal, as they are with most of their other transfers in this window. However, they do know that Bryan Mbeumo wants to come to Manchester United, and that could work in their favour when they're trying to do this deal. However, Brentford and their sporting director Phil Giles earlier on last month has actually told Sky Sports News that Mbeumo would be happy to stay at Brentford if this deal did not materialise. But he did admit that there is a deal to be done there. Personal terms, we think, are not expected to be a problem for Mbeumo.
Jadon Sancho, that at the moment, despite the calls taking place in the recent weeks, Juventus have still not sent any official bid to Manchester United for Jadon Sancho. So at the moment, I know there are many reports coming out from Italy, but from what I'm told, Manchester United have not received any official bid from Juventus for Jadon Sancho. So that remains the situation at the moment. We will follow the situation. But first, we had many stories on Fenerbahce in advanced talks, and that was not true. On Jadon Sancho, Juventus, they asked about the player. It was days ago, but at the moment it's not a concrete negotiation because there is still no bid to Manchester United. So we will see what's going to happen with Jadon Sancho. There is movement.
Bryan Mbeumo there. He's expected to undergo a medical this week. Talks are ongoing as Brentford are demanding £65 million, having rejected £55 million and £62.5 million. Is this getting a bit ridiculous? Is he going to be worth the wait?
It is getting a little bit ridiculous, yeah, it is. Because it's like we've been locked arguing over like what is amounting to less than 5% of an extra boost on this deal. It seems like it's 2 or 3 million we're fighting over. It is a little bit ridiculous. Maybe though, United's finances are a little bit tighter than we think, and we're worried that if we sign him and we don't sell any of the fabulous 5 or whatever it is we're calling them these days that need to leave, that we won't actually have the money to do so. Because if you pay that deal, let's say the difference between paying it over 3 years and 5 years, that's an extra 3 or 4 million per year, which means that if we're only a couple of million on the fence, then an extra 2 or 3 million on his transfer fee, now you're 10 million over, and United can't afford to do that. So I wonder if it also, we know for a fact that when you buy a player for X, the next time you want to buy a similar player, the selling club is going, well, you bought him for X. I think people quoted Anthony at us all the time. People quoted Harry Maguire's fee at us all the time. So if you go 70, 75 million for Mbeumo, then the next time you want a player who's Premier League proven, maybe even a couple of years younger than Mbeumo, they want 85, 90 million, and we can't be sort of held like that. So it's important we get the fee right. But what are we on now? The 9th of July. We've been back in training this week. We've got a game in a couple of weeks. You want to get players in for the manager. And every day that you wait is one less day of training, one less day to understand the tactics and how the manager wants them to play. So there's a line there. At some point, United just have to go for it. But I do understand why they're trying to get the fee and the structure of the deal in a way that suits them. Because, again, it might affect the next 2, 3, 4 years at Man United. I know it sounds like a big overstatement, but that's how things work.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Looking at the number 9 situation now, Victor Gyökeres will be an Arsenal player, it's looking like. 5-year deal, £200,000 per week. How big of a loss is that for United? Is it a failure? Do you think that losing that Europa League final is what lost us the player?
Maybe it was the Europa League final, but then also it only seems like Amorim is the one who's sort of really keen on him. From what you hear and the reports and in the media, it sounds as though Ineos and that side of the club were interested but less keen, and Amorim was really keen, which makes sense. He's played under him before, but I do feel like it would be such a big risk to spend money we don't have yet on him, especially when there's going to be so much pressure on him if he does join. Look at what happened with Ten Hag and the likes of Antony and Martinez, Antony in particular, obviously. Not only was that transfer a bit of a failure, but it was a failure that was just distributed 100% on the manager. It's almost as though, well, he played for you before, so you must be the only reason he's here. And if that transfer doesn't work, basically the fee that we paid was attributed to Ten Hag. The fact that he wasn't very good was attributed to Ten Hag's man management, judge of character, judge of play and everything. And I think that was one of the reasons why he ended up leaving. I'm not saying it's all on Antony, but if we'd have signed Antony for 30 million instead of 90 million, Ten Hag might still be here. You know, the pressure just mounts and mounts and snowballs. So, again, I'm not too disappointed that we haven't signed a former player, because we're in this weird narrative where if you sign one of your players and it doesn't work out, then you're a disgrace. You don't understand how good the Premier League is and you've wasted money. So let's get someone else, but we do need to get someone else.
Could that someone else be Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Are you into that one?
So it's a bit of a drop-off off Gyökeres, isn't it? Gyökeres scored the most goals of any striker in the world last season. The most in the world of all of the top leagues across the whole planet. Gyökeres scored the most. I don't think Calvert-Lewin played as many minutes as Gyökeres scored goals last year. Like, it's such a drop-off. I think if we do get someone like a Calvert-Lewin, it must have been with Vardy, Callum Wilson, these kind of like coming to the end of their time at a club that, I know they finished above us, all of them this season, but in your head, although Leicester didn't, in your head, we're a bigger team than Newcastle, we're a bigger team than Everton. Like, if we're getting cast-offs from bottom half teams, then that tells me that we still think Højlund will be the number 1 next season, or the number 9, should I say, next season. Because you don't bring Vardy in to play 45 games in league and cup competitions. He's incapable of that. So you either bring Vardy and, I don't know, Osimhen, which I don't think will happen, but someone like that at a starting number 9, or you're basically saying it's going to be Højlund's position again, which is in itself a bit of a worry.
You mentioned Victor Osimhen there. It looks like he's heading back to Galatasaray. He's costing them around £64 million reportedly, which is roughly what United are going to pay for Mbeumo. Should United have pushed a bit harder for him, do you think?
I do, yeah. I think he's great. I think he's a really good player. And not just that, I think he really suits the way we play now. I think you allow your number 10s to build up, your wing-backs to build up, and you put balls on the 6-yard line, on the penalty spot, those cutbacks that we see under Amorim. Osimhen's an absolute monster in the 18-yard box, on the floor, in the air. He's got the pace to play in behind as well. If we're playing out from the back, those quick sort of over the tops or through the lines, Osimhen can do that. He strikes the ball so cleanly and so well as well.
Sky Sports News understands there is a cautious optimism at United that a deal can be struck and discussions continue internally over the next steps. There remains a gap in valuation, but United are not far away from the overall fee Brentford want, believed to be 65 M. However, there is still work to do on the structure, as the West London club want the majority, if not all, of the fee to be paid up front. Mbeumo has made it clear he only wants to move to United, and personal terms are believed to have been agreed in principle. Marcus Rashford finds himself in a position at Manchester United that would have seemed improbable just 12 months ago. The 27-year-old appears to be in a no-man's land. His time at United seems almost up after he informed them he wished to explore options away from Old Trafford. United responded by stripping him of his iconic number 10 shirt and extending his break to allow him to explore these new options. It is claimed that Rashford returned to Carrington on Monday and Tuesday to complete an individual training program. Manchester United have started their preparations for the new Premier League season, and so has a man with a huge summer ahead of him.